Pokemon Sword and Shield are, well, okay Pokemon games. There's a lot of things I love about these games, as well as a lot of things I don't like about these games. It's a mixed bag for me. But what if I told you there's a mod that makes this game significantly harder, making important trainers have max EVs, IVs, natures, held items, heck, sometimes even competitive movesets. And not only that, but getting access to the Crown Tundra before beating the game for more variety in Pokemon. This is Pokemon Crown Sword and Armored Shield, and they do all of this making for the region of Galar to be a brand new experience. I'm going to try to Nuzlocke this hard game, and hopefully I don't lose and rip my hair out. But even if we do lose, it's fine by me, as I would have lost with dignity. Unless I die to something like a Stunfisk, then that would be embarrassing. So we start off getting our intro sequence with Rose here, the main villain, if you even want to call it that. Remember when I said there are things I don't like about this game? Yeah, he's one of them. You can put Hop in there as well. He's just How, but 100 times worse. I would say he's the Pokemon version of Vegeta, making him always lose, but you're at least always rooting for Vegeta, so that's not comparable at all. And I know Hop is supposed to lose since we're the main character, but he's kind of a baby in the middle of this story, since he think he'll never be as good as us. Like, dude, believe in yourself. Anyways, I just noticed Mom is written as Mum, since, you know, we're in the UK, which is a great touch, but yeah, I'd never noticed that before this point. Speaking of which, bye Mum. I'll be back after almost dying in the wilderness. I'll always choose Mareep as my preferred sheep, and this is why. Not really, but it doesn't make Wooloo's case any stronger. From here, I speed walk all the way to Hop's house to see who's birthed this pork unconfident child. There's the culprit. I will say, I do like Leon as a champion, but I'm sure Hop hears that all the time. Not as a champion, but that they like Leon more than him. Here we can choose from probably my least favorite generation of starters. However, starters are still starters, and they're not bad as Pokemon. They're just not good as everyone else, in my opinion. I'm not saying competitively, I'm just saying design-wise. And since I always hate on Scorbunny, or specifically Cinderace, I'm gonna choose the little rodent this time around. There's probably gonna be a lot of encounters in this run, and I probably won't go over all of them, as we do have access to the DLC. So no nickname theme this time. And that being said, Jack here gives us a fist bump, and we take on Hop in our very first battle of this Nuzlocke, which I'm pretty sure you cannot lose unless you really tried. And that's just how Hop's AI just kind of is in the base games. After this, we go to the Slumbering Weald, and this is the first time you can see this mod in action, as the wild Pokemon here are completely different than the normal ones. Mainly, you'd see Squovette here, but no, it's a nice little Dreepy. Now, I don't have Pokeballs right now, but I will circle back in a bit. As I said, we do almost get mauled by this legendary dog. Sorry, Mum, I almost got killed. I bet you don't want me to leave town anymore. Oh, you're giving me money, so I can leave? Yeah? Cool, see ya. From here we get our Route 1 encounter, Rookity. And I'm going to only get encounters that are hidden in the ground when available, so that it's completely random what we get as encounters. This might limit some of the Pokemon we can catch. Not really. With both DLCs and all of the wild area, trust me, we have enough encounters. But it's probably better this way anyways for the Nuzlocke. I always find it hard to do this in Scarlet and Violet, as there are no hidden encounters. It is crazy how much money you start off with the newer Pokemon games. 30 racks? Why does a teenager need 30 racks? Am I dealing? I'm about to start. Before we take on Hop again, I catch Sly the Zigzagoon on Route 2. This second rival fight, it's pretty uneventful, just like the first. So from there, we move directly to the wild area. Again, won't cover every single encounter unless some cool stuff pops up, so you'll just see my team as we go. Another thing Armored Shield does is cut the price of all TRs in the wild area by like a lot, which is great as we'll need the most powerful moves to beat this. One of the encounters I got was Carablast, which is great as a Scavalier is the better one out of the two. A Selgor is cool, but you'd need a Sash or that thing's definitely gonna die. And this was a 5% encounter for North Lake Mylock. Other than that, everything else was pretty basic. The bad thing about doing hidden encounters only is I won't be able to get any starters as they are overworld spawns, but it is what it is. Motostoke is such a beautiful city, so industrial. Like, I so prefer this over the cities in Scarlet and Violet, but I prefer Scarlet and Violet as a game overall. Although it's hard to say that because you can't even enter like 90% of the buildings in those games. From here, we register for the gym challenge and take on these weirdos. But they were easy. You can also fish up an encounter in Motostoke, and I ended up getting none other than Magikarp, which could be a big help. Our first real fight is Hop right in the Motostoke exit, and this is because this is when important trainers have EV trade Pokemon. The levels also go up, and they have held items. so naturally I'm all EV trained as well. Hop leads this Wooloo with an Eviolite and only double kick and tackle for damaging moves, meaning Iron Giant here is the play. And Hop's AI doesn't seem to switch out or anything, and this would have been fine if Hop didn't have super potions. So I opted for Chirp to use Power Trip, which if you don't know, does more damage based on the amount of boost you have, and pair this with Hone Claws as it takes the accuracy boost into consideration for the calculation, and we could sweep. But with this thing getting 6 defense curls up, and the fact that it was actually hitting me despite all those Mud Slap accuracy drops, yeah, Chirp got way too weak. So instead I tried to stop cheesing Hop and fight normally. So Bronzor takes this thing out, Yamper roars us into the worst possible thing I have for Yamper, and Iron Giant comes in on a Nuzzle. From here, it was a lot of roaring until it bit Golett and flinched, and Acorn could take this thing out. Of course, his own bird comes in next, but we still have Scrap for that pluck, and we get a Reflect Up. Now, this is scary as he is using my own strat against me, but knowing I can tank at least one, we get another Gyro Ball off, and it happened to be a crit. From here, his Grassy Surge Thwacky comes in, but this was no problem for Jack. Realistically, Corvisquire is his only frightening mon. And from here we snag Scorpion the Skorupi on Route 3, and the Galar Mine is a bit different, not having hidden encounters. So for anything like this, we're lucky there's documentation for this game, as it lists all the encounters and I just stick it in a wheel for the randomness. Larvitar is actually our encounter for the Galar Mine, which is a 5% encounter. Neat! Moving on to the next big fight before Milo, Bead.
Oh, bro.
Basically, I just burned our brand new Larvitar, and he's probably thinking, what has he gotten himself into? Straight up abuse as soon as I caught him. But yeah, we tank a confusion for his weakness policy, Ponyta, but Payback gets the KO to avoid that since we move second in the turn, and the burn will pop our Oranberry. Gothita does outright KO since not only does it have Psychic, but also a Twisted Spoon attached, and knowing this, I go into Acorn for free. From here, we just Razor Leaf and switch out since we get Charmed, and then back in to Razor Leaf more, baiting Psyshock on entry. None of this really mattered as I do have Leviathan in the back, and this is how we finish Beat off. Gyarados just carries in every game. Not only that, but the level is level 27, so I could have been even more leveled there. Turffield is up next, home of the Grass Gym. But before that, I went to go relearn moves as I forgot that that existed in these games, and I also evolved Nuzleaf because of this. I also evolved Carablast with a Shelmet in my party, as that's what we needed in this mod to evolve it. I just released the Shelmet after this, which is funny because I ended up getting a Shelmet as an encounter later. I don't think I should have been punished if I never got Shelmet as an encounter, and then I wouldn't be able to use my dear Escavalier, which is important as I want to use him for Milo. Milo leads Roserade, a tanky Roserade, who's more of a support Pokemon with Leech Seed, Stun Spore, and Toxic Spike. I lead Scorpion, who can immediately get a Toxic Spikes of our own on the field as we get Stun Spored. From here we try to get another layer up, getting paralyzed in between, and our Citrus Berry pops. Now Milo has done everything he can besides Magical Leaf. He paralyzed me, got both layers of Toxic Spikes up, and Leech Seeded me. So at this point, I need to switch. Chirp is a great option, although you can see that still did a ton of damage. Basically, Chirp needs to pluck this thing near to its death so that Escavalier can come Fell Stinger and get a 3 times attack boost, but Chirp is a little too good at his job and gets a crit, which does in fact kill. This would have been great as we might have been able to pair a taunt with Chirp, leading Escavalier to not get paralyzed. What the F, Chirp? From here, Acorn is my best bet, but unfortunately Ludicolo does go for his Teeter Dance, confusing Acorn. And I did have a Pecha Berry for the Toxic Spikes. We do try to fake out, but hit ourselves, and this is just bad. The good news is he's badly poisoned. Very fortunately though, I do get a nice Synthesis off to stall poison, and after get a Leaf Blade off, hoping the poison damage would KO it, but it didn't. Praying I snap out the next turn, I try to heal once more, and we do as Milo does as well, with a Super Potion. But you can't stall it forever, Milo. That poison is ticking. We did get a speed drop earlier from Bubble Beam, but we are still faster for the KO, which is huge. And to no one's surprise, the Pokemon with Acrobatics comes in. This thing is designed to use its Lychee Berry to up its attack when it has low health, and then Acrobatics will do a shit ton of damage, because it no longer has an item. Pretty smart. Leviathan is the best thing here, as Acrobatics is guaranteed, and we have Intimidate, and on top of all of that, no Pecha Berry is needed since Gyarados' flying type finally becomes useful. With that, we get no para on Dragon Breath, thank Arceus, and one Ice Fang destroys this thing without having to worry about that Lychee Berry. Now, it would be nice if the other dragon would come in, but no, Shiftry is the one he sends out next. I'm tempted to go out into Escavalier, but an inevitable swagger will eventually get to him, so instead I go back into Acorn, fearing a rollout, and this way I can fake out, get more poison damage on him, and use the move Air Cutter. The sucky thing is, Milo did a crit Razor Leaf, and that's thanks to the Razor Claw he has on this thing, but we are still alive. So I double back into Leviathan, who can Intimidate, and god damn, he has another Super Potion. The next turn was pretty funny though, as we both missed our moves. Like, what is going on? But anyways, from here we let the poison take him out, and Escavalier eats a Razor Leaf. And Appleton is in. This is perfect, as now Bullet Seed does absolutely nothing, and poison whittles it down. So we just Scary Face to make sure Fell Stinger KOs, get the attack boost, and Dynamax for the win. Adios, Milo! Up next was Route 5, and while nothing super exciting happens here, there are some awesome encounters if we go shaking this berry tree. We have a pretty good chance of getting the Applin line here, with all of them making up 40% of the encounter table for shaking trees. Unfortunately, we got a Cottony instead, but to be honest, I'll take a Whimsicott. Since we've beaten Gym 1, after this is when I decided to go use DLC, and we got a bunch of encounters that I will not mention, as there's so many of them, but I'm just letting you guys know. Anyways, moving along Route 5, I guess this Toxel does in fact count as a gift Pokemon, so I'll take it as a separate encounter from Route 5. Team Yell is so easy thanks to Escavalier. One thing I did snag in the DLCs was a bunch of items, like Muscle Band, Assault Vest, things like that. Now, Hop on the Bridge before Holberry was a tough fight, and this is because I don't have an answer for his double. Also, the level cap is 30, and everyone is about to level up, so I swap some Pokemon out. Anyways, I lead Leviathan to intimidate switch shenanigans, and once we're ready, Scorpion can come in, doesn't have to worry about crits thanks to Battle Armor, and now we just knock off his lefties and poison him with Poison Fang. And we do all of this because this thing loves to defense curl, and it's very defensive and has Fluffy as its ability. From there, we just go into Iron Giant, making sure he doesn't copycat Poison Fang. And Iron Giant is immune to everything Double has. Soon enough, Double goes down, and Golett forces in Thwackey to come in. I did Intimidate and then go into Night, as I do fear a knockoff eventually coming, and it does knock off my Citrus Fruit. But one Fell Stinger is enough to destroy this little guy, so Voltuned is up. Now, I didn't really know what it was going to do. It could bite or it could nuzzle, but it just went for Spark, and a Fell Stinger, thanks to our 3x attack from the last one, does in fact one-shot. So all that's left is Corvisquire. Fearing a Pluck, I send in Shocker on only a Hone's Claws. And one Shockwave is enough to do it. And no one leveled up, which is nice. Oh, and I guess nobody dying was nice too. Anyone knows what's on Chairman Rose's ankle? Is that like his Dynamax ankle monitor? Now, Holberry is cool because you can actually buy mints here. And while I'm going to stick with whatever natures we get, maybe I'll end up using ability patches and capsules, since those can make really bad Pokemon really good, and I think that's fun. But I will leave the natures up to chance. Holberry is also great, as we can get an encounter here and end up getting Feebas, which is amazing, as Arrokuda would have been the more likely encounter. Unfortunately, this ROM hack doesn't change typings or stats, which sucks, as others do, and I kind of want to play those as well. For example, Feebas and King's Shield would be part Fairy type. Now, Nessa has a stacked team, with Pelipper as her lead with not only Drizzle, but a Damp Rock attached, so that rain is up for 8 turns. The good news is the Throat Goblin doesn't have speed investment, and I have an Electric Lizard, so we don't have to deal with any potential Tailwind. Not that it really mattered for Barraskewda, which I figured would come out next. This thing is a speed demon, ready to devour me, so I brought along a Azumarill who is resisted to not only dive, but Throat Chop, if she decides to use it. Aside from this, it has Peck and Aqua Jet, and an Assault Vest. Protecting is great to stall a turn of rain, and I don't think we lose anything doing it. I was just going to play rough, but forgot to put a Muscle Band on Azu. But it looks like it doesn't matter, as Azu next turn destroys the Barracuda, thanks to a critical hit. Gotta love when those happen when you need them. With that, Toxtricity levels up mid-fight, and Dodo Bird is in. I figured it was either this or Lantern, since they both have super effective moves, and if you're wondering what Cramorant has, it's Belch. Despite that, it didn't actually use it, it just went for Pluck as we protect to stall more rain turns. From here, I go into Leviathan, who I forgot to take the Citrus Berry off of, but it doesn't really matter as Cramorant hasn't taken any damage. But with this, we Intimidate and Scary Face, to which Cramorant actually belches. Weird, but I'll take it, as the plan was to go into Shocker anyways, on another Belch. And then rain stops. Now, unfortunately, some F-ups were made. I forgot this thing has Dive, so I protected for nothing, and I could have sworn Belch was the move that gets rid of your berry. Am I wrong? Anyways, this leads to Shocker taking more damage than he needed to, thanks to this Gulp Missile ability. Regardless, it does die. Lantern is in next, and of course that Confusion is coming. From here, Gyarados comes in on that Confusion to Intimidate, as Lantern does have a physical Electric type move, Spark. And this is great, as now we won't come in on on a confusion and maybe get hit with a thunder wave. Oh, come on, just spark! This is bad as I wanted to get in for free and growth one time as I had a Lumberry. So the next turn we get paralyzed and a Leaf Blade doesn't KO. Nessa does have super potions and this is good as long as we don't get paralyzed. We don't and Lantern is down. I just need to hope I don't get paralyzed from my Lodic, and I don't. However, it not only has a Wiki Berry, but Recover. So I need to change the strat and fast. Believe it or not, this is actually great, and this is because one of the moves my Lodic has is Dragon Tail. Now yes, Dragon Tail switches us out and is horrible because she's weak on health and she's just going to recover. So I use this next turn to switch into my Dragon type, Druddigon. And by doing this, the AI will now use Dragon Tail, and we just so happen to have a little fairy who's immune to that move. Now we just need Water Pulse to not confuse. I freaking hate this move. If I had to choose any move to hate, it would definitely be Water Pulse. Naturally, we do hit ourselves and she starts recovering right away. I do try rinse repeating that strat once more to not get confused, and now we're in Citrus range, but what happens now? We miss a play rough. Okay, jeez, okay. Holy shit, Azu, I didn't think they let idiots into Schaefer. Okay, I'm sorry, you got a crit. I didn't mean it, you're forgiven. Once Dreadnought is in, we of course are met with Dynamax, but this is why Protect is on most of my Pokemon. We don't negate all the damage, but we negate most of it, and this lets us stall Dynamax turns. From here, we go into Druddigon, take a Max Knuckle, which raises his attack, and then Protect once more. The only problem now is she's +2 attack, but D-Max is over. The good news was Rain wasn't set up though. Now I just want to switch into a Grass type, but with this thing set up, everything dies. So I kind of have to keep Druddigon in, and believe it or not, this is totally fine. Or it would be fine if I didn't calc this wrong. See, I thought it was fine to use Max Steel Spike or Max Weirmind, but it wasn't. My Druddigon has horrible attack, and lowering her attack was way better than raising my defense, as now we can benefit from the defense boost because we're literally a blow away from falling. Had I just used Dragon Claw, we could have lowered his attack in the process and switched in Eldegoss. But no, now we have to sack something. And that something has to be Druddigon, who I never named. I'm sorry, no name. And to make matters worse, Nessa didn't even Rock Tomb again. She Razor Shelled, meaning I totally could have just went into Eldegoss scot-free. Why did you Razor Shell? There's only one of two things I can do. Go into Eldegoss praying I live a Rock Tomb and praying I hit a Leaf Tornado, or Shocker praying we outspeed because we literally, and I kid you not, have the exact same 77 speed stat, meaning this is a speed tie, and knowing my luck, we will not outspeed. What did I say, guys? What did I say? And you want to know what makes this even worse? Megamind. Megamind outsped. But do you know why he outsped? Well, he actually didn't outspeed. Nessa just happened to use the move Counter, which has negative priority on an Eldegoss. Oh, and this thing had a Rindoberry for Leaf Tornado, so we still didn't KO. And then Eldegoss died to Rock Tomb. Well, the good news is our Cotton Down ability popped, slowing it down, meaning Leviathan can outspeed for the KO. But, yeah, we didn't need to lose a single Pokemon there. One little mistake led to the death of 3 of these guys, and I really like Toxtricity. Regardless, we did it, and on we went to our next encounter in the Galar Mine. I rolled a Noibat. Not good right now, but it'll have to do. It's a good thing we didn't lose Acorn, as he's an amazing answer to Bead right now. Acorn has priority Sucker Punch, and since we learned Growth by level up, we can just use that twice. The only thing is I meant to Lumberry for Hypnosis, since we do have Synthesis, but this wasn't an issue either way thanks to our ability Early Bird, so we woke up easily and Sucker Punched every last one of Beat's Pokemon. After that, we meet our next gym leader, Kabu, who trains his fire Pokemon against Rock-type Pokemon. What a G. And then in Motosoak Outskirts, we get a Hatena. I've never actually used one, so this is great. Before we head into Hammerlock, I go ahead and go into the dojo in the Isle of Armor, as just entering this place gives us a new NPC to buy stuff from. There's just one problem doing this: EXP Charm. This item will significantly boost the EXP we get, making us over level. And you can't just turn it off like you can the EXP share, because Game Freak is a bunch of... Anyways, the level caps are really close in these games, but even in base games, getting this charm is very annoying. But the items we get in the Isle of Armor are actually things like Dynamax candies and ability changers, which I want to use. And I literally just learned that HP goes up the higher your Dynamax level is. I'm sorry, I rarely play these games. But anyways, in order to get these items scot-free, I straight up PK Hex that EXP charm the fuck out of my inventory, because F that. Let me turn it off, Game Freak. While I'm here, I also battled Mr. Ketchup, as we get a gift starter from him, and it's one of my favorites, Bulbasaur. Kabu is our next fight, and this took a while to prep for because of drought, flame body Pokemon, and, well, just strong Pokemon in general. The Marnie fight before this was uneventful, and we actually get an encounter inside the gym. And since they're not hidden, I rolled a Ninetales, which is great, as it does get a setup move through level up, Nasty Plot. And just in case you're wondering, yes, this does count as a separate encounter. And all the prepping I did literally goes out the window. The past 2 hours I sat here thinking in agony to be as careful as possible was for nothing, because Ninetales literally solos Kabu. Let me explain. First off, Naruto here has a near perfect speed stat and the ability Flash Fire, and it just so happens that Kabu leads a Ninetales. Why is this significant, you may ask? Well, because by him having a Ninetales and me just getting one in his gym, I learn all of his moves. Per my rules, I can only use setup moves if a Pokemon learns them naturally, which Naruto does, Nasty Plot. But not only this, Ninetales gets a very important move that I've never been able to put into play, at least until now, Imprison. Imprison makes it so that your opponent can't use any moves you have on your current Pokemon, and since we both have the Nine-tailed Fox, I can manipulate this how I want. He can't use Flamethrower to damage me because I have Flash Fire, so I don't need to Imprison that move. He can't set up because I also have Nasty Plot. He can't even use Extra Sensory because I'm using that move as well. Okay, but he still has Hypnosis. Well, I was going to Safeguard, and my speed stat and my speed boosting nature would be great for that, but I needed to bring Psyshock as well. But it doesn't matter as Kabu can't damage us anyways, so we just have to wait out the sleep turns. And there we go. That makes up Naruto's 4 moves to be used to solo sweep Kabu, at least in theory. So I marched my way in, and he knows exactly what he did. He planted that Vulpix just for me, hoping I'd figure it out. So we outspeed, Imprison, as Kabu misses a Hypnosis. From here, I just set up the +6 special attack. And it looks like there's absolutely no Switch AI in this game, which is perfect. Like I said, sleep doesn't matter since he can't hit us, and now we just Psyshock since Extra Sensory has a tiny chance to not KO. And I mean tiny, but still, always is a chance. And this is because Ninetales is specially defensive, and the move Psyshock uses the Pokemon's physical defense for damage. Once that's down, we level up to level 35, which is actually crucial, and I did figure Alolan Marowak would come in since it has Stomping Tantrum. Extra Sensory is the play here because he's the exact opposite of Ninetales in defense. And then Magmar is holding an Eviolite, and this comes in next, probably to clear Smogus. Magmar is the same deal as Ninetales, having to use Psyshock, but I did need to be level 35, or there's a chance to not kill, and the same was true for Arcanine. But Arcanine obviously doesn't matter as Kabu only has 3 Pokemon left, and we can just Dynamax for those last 3 turns. Arcanine and Talonflame do have priority moves, although Talonflame just outspeeds since it's super fast, but Acrobatics isn't even at full potential since it's holding a Charty Berry. And with that, the battle is easily won without risking anybody's life. Well, except Naruto, since he could have crit with Centiskorch, since I totally forgot to max out Ninetales Dynamax level. Whoops. Also, a Twisted Spoon there would have just let me use Psyshock the whole way through, and Centiskorch would have died thanks to Psychic Terrain. It's no surprise that I won. Bro, you literally gave me the answer inside your gym puzzle. All jokes aside, that was super fun, and we got lucky rolling Vulpix there. With all 3 gyms done, we get a farewell from the leaders, and off to Hammerlock we go. But in between, we have more encounters to get. Not too special early on, although Alolan Persian does get Nasty Plot, but in Dusty Bowl, we get a bunch of encounters that are decent. And we end up getting that 10% Trapinch. This is amazing as Flygon gets Dragon Dance by relearning. Giant Smear is kind of the same as we get a lot of good encounters here, but the difference being we already have 3 of them. So more than likely we get Togepi, but hopefully we get Dreepy. Nah, it was just Togepi. Hammerlock Hills has a lot of good steel types, but of course I got the one I didn't want. To be honest, Turtonator would have been great. We're also out of that stage of the game where some Pokemon weren't fully evolved thanks to the level cap, like our starter, Jack. Nothing too much happened on Route 6, and after that short route, we're in Stoneside where we have yet again another rival battle. Now this one I thought long and hard about, seeing if I could sweep with Jack, but Pyro Ball is inaccurate, and the way we do this is by Lumberrying him so we get swaggered by Hop Stubwool, but it's not guaranteed that it'll use it, or at least I think, so I did have a lot of counters for his Pokemon. And as you can see, when we Flame Charge, Hop does not go for Swagger and instead goes for Counter, meaning now we have to hit this Pyro Ball for the KO, and thankfully we do. With the Ram down, the Snapping Turtle is in, which I predicted, so I go into Band-Aid, fearing a Rock Tomb, which does just under half. We do have lefties, and I forgot to put Protect on Venusaur, and if he crits here, we're definitely dead. But he doesn't, and that was way too close thanks to Strong Jaw. Lefties actually saved us there. Corvisquire comes in next, and my answer to this is Gyarados, as we do have Intimidate, and this thing has a Power Herb for its Sky attack. Even with an Intimidate, that did a lot. Ice Fang doesn't kill here, so Waterfall is the play for accuracy, as a Tailwind is set up on their side. We don't want to risk a crit, so I go into Chirp, who can tank hits and Revenge Kill, although he only used Taunt. This forces in the same Pokemon Gyarados would have forced in, Boltoon. So of course I brought Bugs to eat Discharge. From here all we do is dig for the KO, which we got a high roll for. And finally Rillaboom is all he has left. Just to be safe, I go into Leviathan one more time to intimidate, expecting a fake out, but we actually got a hammer arm to the face. And Chirp then walls this thing hard, and a cool little thing is, since drum beating lowers speed, our magic bounce ability throws it back to him, allowing us to outspeed now. Oh, and I did forget about this bug, and for good reason too. I did check what our Glimwood Tangle encounter would be, and we got Passimian, which is like a 5% encounter. If you don't know, the next gym leader is different depending on what version of the game you have, and unfortunately, I chose Shield. Sword is so much easier since B rocks a Graplock, who's super easy to set up on. Alistair, however, has Poltergeist, and my strat here is Ninetales once more, but I can't just lead it since this thing does a lot of damage with Hex. Now my first strat was to imprison Hex, kind of like I did with Kabu, but we actually don't get the TM for Hex until after beating Alistair. Great timing. So instead, I led Whitney, who can maybe Cosmic Power to raise defense, set up a sub, and baton pass it into Naruto. Only problem is crits, which do end up happening, but somehow, Whitney isn't crying today. Thankfully, with some lucky strength saps on Alistair's part, and by some I mean a lot, we can substitute baton pass into Naruto, and from there, we just set up twice with Nasty Plot. The sub fades on the second one, and once we're ready to attack, Alistair Giga drains. This attention-seeking child. Anyways, we do level up during the fight to level 40, which is essential to kill, I think, Cursula and some others. Eventually we get to Mimikyu, which by leveling up we outspeed by 3 points. Mimikyu's annoying because of its ability to skies, and it has Curse plus Destiny Bond, so to try to combat this I put a King's Rock on Naruto to try and flinch hacks this thing, but it just ended up using Shadow Sneak, which is great as now we just Dark Pulse. I forgot to Dynamax, and now I'm cursed. Alright, let me stop being dramatic. The fight's pretty much over right there since I did risk a crit on his G-Max Terror, and Max Darkness just straight up decimates the Gengar. My bad. I really needed to D-Max on that Mimikyu. After this, we get that useless TM, and Bede was uneventful once more as he doesn't have fully evolved Pokemon. And the same can be said for Opal, as all we need to do is yawn with my Eviolite Togetic, who eats a Sludge Bomb. Although that did way more than I anticipated, so I'm sure a crit would have killed there. Either way, we switch in on a Sludge Bomb to Jack, and one Max Knuckle is all that's needed for him to sweep with Iron Head. And this is because later in the fight we get a free Swords Dance from answering her questions correctly. You look 16, of course. I don't know what other age you were expecting me to say. Libero also comes in clutch here, giving us Stab. I always found it funny how Opal just changes Bede's life around for the best. Good on you, Bede. Of course, this is the part of the game where Hop won't leave us the F alone, so we gotta crush him once more. His double this time around has a normal gem for the move Giga Impact, and I have a cool little strat for this. So Jack can almost solo Hop's entire team, aside from Centiskorch. The only problem is the same one as before. Pyro Ball has a 10% chance to miss, and I can't get Wide Lens until the next city. So instead, I opted for Flare Blitz with the leftovers attached. Now unfortunately I can't pair this with the move Protect for more health every turn, since I need every other move I have. Anyways, the strat here is to turn into a Ghost type by using the move Shadow Ball with obviously Libero. From there he uses his normal gem boosted Giga Impact. This doesn't make him recharge next turn, which I think is so dumb, and this lets him get a payback off. But from there we Flare Blitz and Boltund is out next for some reason. I expected Dreadnought since it's a Water Rock type, but I guess not. One more Flare Blitz KOs that, and then Dreadnought is in, which is good as it will give us a turn of lefties without taking damage, as one low kick one-shots this thing. This is where Jack's sweep ends, and this is because of the damage from Flare Blitz. The recoil from this is 39%, and we're at 36%. And what's funny is it's only 39% because this thing has HP investment. If it didn't have HP investment, it's 33%, meaning we'd KO this thing as well. Also, this Flare Blitz is literally calced to the T. The lowest it can do at level 45 is 100%, so you can imagine how this makes me feel. Anyways, from here I go into Leviathan, who intimidates, or not because I didn't see it had mirror armor, and now he has an 8-turn Reflect Up because of Light Clay. For some reason I didn't bring Galvantula, as I knew there was a possibility Cinderace wouldn't be able to finish the job, and every other Pokemon cannot kill this thing. Well, aside from one. See, Chirp may be the same Pokemon, but we have something that Hop doesn't, Hone Claws, plus Power Trip, and thankfully Steel doesn't resist that typing. Power Trip works like stored power, where it does more damage the more boosts we have, and while 4 attack boosts still doesn't even do half to this thing, with Reflect Up, you gotta remember, it's whatever boost I have. It's not just my attack that got boosted, but my accuracy as well, and that counts for the calculation. Meaning we actually have 8 boosts, and with Reflect Up, this does half. So 2 more, and we got out of that pickle pretty easily. Also, I did have a Citrus Berry on Chirp, so that helped. Centiskorch is out next, but gets immediately sent to feed Chirp's chickies. From here, Venusaur can easily come in on a Hammer Arm, which crit but lowers his speed, so one Sludge Bomb finishes this fight right up. That could have been bad. From here we head on with the only useful encounter being Togedemaru, which I actually wanted. Chubertron here is also good for the next gym since Melody is an ice-type gym leader. So by sneaking our way past the gym puzzle, we only fight one trainer, letting us not risk anything, and we enter the stadium. This gym is great because the ice type is the worst type in the game. I lead Coconut Head as Melody leads Auroras, which is perfect as that's 4 times weak to fighting, so Dynamaxing instantly gives us a free attack boost with Max Knuckle, and this prevents her using Aurora Veil for her defenses. Her team is very slow aside from 2 of her Pokemon, so this sweep is very easy. Also, I'm just noticing the corners of the screen make it look like it's on TV because, well, it's being broadcasted. Yeah, I never noticed that. Either way, this forces in Mr. Rhyme, and because we got an attack boost prior to this, Max Steel Spike will KO, and we get a defense boost in the process. I expected Ice-Q to come out next, but either way, the play is the same. We Steel Spike for another defense boost on Frostmoth. Darmanitan coming in third is actually great as we need to be as healthy as possible to tank a hit, but Galarian Darmanitan has the ability Guerrilla Tactics, which essentially gives it a choice band without the item, letting her hold a choice scar, so she will outspeed. She would have outsped anyways without it, but still. From there, we just close combat after taking an Icicle Crash. Ice-Q is out next, and this thing has a free sub on entry thanks to its ability Ice Face. And this is bad as it sets up a free belly drum in our face and it's super fast. I also accidentally switched in Naruto and Ice-Q used dive, so I had to double into Azu who took a crit dive to the dome. I then swapped in the Scavalier who just didn't tank a move at all. From here, I had no idea what to do as this thing has Head Smash, so I couldn't just Intimidate with Gyarados, and Ninetales is in the same boat. Regardless, I risked it praying for Icicle Crash, but no, it used Head Smash. Oh god, it missed. Nice! Now we just outspeed as down goes Ice-Q. That Ice-Face belly drum was genius. With that, all she had left was one Pokemon, G-Max Lapras. I just went into Gyarados praying I could live a move and praying it didn't go for Ancient Power. It instead goes for Max Geyser, and the following turn we protect tanking the Ancient Power. Since it's the last turn of her G-Max turns, I go into our newly acquired Chubertron to eat an Ancient Power. Feel like I'm saying Ancient Power a lot. And then we Zing Zap. Now I knew it had a weakness policy, but I was just kind of winging it, and lo and behold, Chubertron gets the flinch, meaning another, and we have successfully come out of here with 0 deaths. Okay, maybe the ice type isn't the worst type. With our ice badge obtained, we continue on our journey where I finally evolve Beast Boy into Flygon, who I need for this next fight. It's Hop again, which is pretty easy. I lead Jack, and I can't just turn into a ghost type this time as he does have the move Payback. And I thought Flare Blitz would KO thanks to his Fluffy ability, but I forgot that Fluffy has the damage from contact moves, so Pyro Ball with a Wide Lens would have been better here, since we get Wide Lens in this city. Either way, I was able to bring it back and KO Double, and from here 2 Pokemon can come in, Boltund, who has Dig, or Dreadnought, and I have answers for both. The ideal one is Boltund as I can easily switch in Beast Boy, and that's what ends up happening. We EQ while he's in the ground, obliterating this poor dog, and Dreadnought is in. 1 Earthquake is enough for that, and Rillaboom is next. I did the same thing as the last fight, and just let Band-Aid handle this. As for Corviknight, Chubertron is the man. All that was left was the Firebug, and Gyarados can't finish it off this time, as it does carry Thunderfang, so Beast Boy took care of it. Another brutal beating for Hop, and somehow this kid is still pumped for more. Bro, you're crazy. And you know what else is crazy? The 5% Frostlass I encountered on Route 9. That is an insane pull. With the Rotom Bike, we can now get a bunch more encounters. Some awesome ones include Draklope, which I've always wanted to use in a Nuzlocke, and Kingler. And Kingler's bad, but I mean, who doesn't love Kingler? Oh man, I already have a male Snorunt. I can't even use that Frostlass. Anyways, Marnie is next, and this fight should be pretty easy. Miles leads with Thunderbolt on Liepard since it has a sash anyways, and in case it outsped and U-turned into Mandibuzz. But turn 2 it goes into Scrafty instead, probably because it has Fire Punch. Azu is the perfect counter here as it doesn't have Thunder Punch and Play Rough is 4 times effective. And we're holding a Wide Lens to not miss. The next level cap is 50, so I had to switch some Pokemon around in case. Morpeko actually gets walled by Beast Boy, not that that matters as 1 Earthquake is enough to decimate the little rat. Knight takes down Grimmsnarl and same with Liepard. Now Absol could go for a Night Slash here and it will do 30% of our health, and this Absol does have Super Luck plus a Razor Claw attached, but we have Shell Armor, so everything I just said just doesn't even matter. And we're at 39% of our health, so there's no way we lose here. But you know why else it didn't even matter? Marnie just Sword Stanced. Knight is on a roll in this fight. Mandibuzz is is her last Pokemon, and Chubbertron would be the answer here, but this bonehead of a bird is a tank and has leftovers, plus Roost, plus Protect. So this took a lot of time, and on top of that, she has a full restore. And we ran out of Zingzap PP. This was so annoying. And what are you guys cheering about? Give it a rest already. Luckily, Azu finished this off easy. Now, like I said, Pierce's ace is at level 50, which is bad because most of my Pokemon are pretty close to that. And the thing is, before Pierce, we have to fight like 5 trainers, and some of them definitely have heaters. The good news is I did have some Pokemon who I could switch in for these fights. And already on battle 1, Bugs almost dies. Jeez. Oddly enough, aside from that, every other fight was easy. Even this double battle thanks to Togekiss learning Dazzling Gleam via TR, which hits both opponents on the field. Pierce doesn't Dynamax, which is good or bad depending on how you look at it. But Dweevil is up first and I lead Grimmsnarl. This is so we can fake out to break its Sash and KO on the following turn with Spirit Break. That way we don't risk any Nasty Plot Hyper Beam shenanigans. From there, he actually goes into Malamar, which I thought was strange as Skuntank is a poison type, but this thing does have Giga Impact. If it superpowers, it could be an issue as it has contrary reversing stat changes, but it straight up goes for Night Slash. The AI is so weird, but I'll take that freebie. And that crit Spirit Break did in fact matter. Kind of, I mean Sucker Punch would have KO'd after, but for Skuntank, I could go into Bugs on a Venoshock, and then one Earthquake destroys the skunk. Like I said, he doesn't D-Max, so his ace can come in beforehand. This thing is a monster, having Guts and a Flame Orb attached, however, going into Angle, taking damage, or a potential Protect, we can just Aura Sphere after, and we outspeed because we're holding a Choice Scarf, and that's what happens. I brought Aura Sphere because this and Bisharp are both quad affected to it. From here, I pivot for Crook by going into Scorpion. The AI is weird, but this should bait Earthquake. Oh my god, why didn't it bait Earthquake? Yeah, I totally forgot for a second that Choice Scarf locks you into a single move. Anyways, from here, I just go into Coconut Head since we know he's going to Rock Slide, but like I said, he is locked into Rock Slide, so Passimian here does so well. Well, that went decently well. Moving along to Hammerlock, we take on the Dragon Specialist Raihan, who is an intense VGC battle. Luckily, I came prepared, live. Alright, so Raihan leads Goodra and Dragonite. Dragonite has a White Herb, Goodra has a Weakness Policy. We set up Hail, and Goodra has Weather Ball, which is really bad for Angle. We should live it though because we have an Assault Vest. I have Dazzling Gleam, which hits both Pokemon, and I have Blizzard, which is 100% accurate in Hail that hits both Pokemon. Dulce has a Scarf to outspeed Goodra, not Dragonite, because Dragonite is just... Oh, we got a crit. Dragonite is not speedy, it's tanky. And we should live this. Okay. And I don't think Hail knocks us out there. So Dazzling Gleam doesn't kill Goodra. What? Oh, come on. Now we switch Angle. I have no idea into who. I think we just Blizzard. So I think we switch. Clefable's kind of expendable here. I don't really need it. It has a full restore. We Blizzard. Right? Thunder Punch into Whitney. That actually did a lot. Okay, now Flygon's in. Flygon has a Focus Sash, and it can set up Sandstorm. Hail will knock it out regardless of Sash. It could also Protect, which would still break Sash. Because I don't need Whitney, so I'm gonna Reflect and then Blizzard. Goodra's dead. Okay, it's not dead. Then Flygon's out of here. This could go for Earthquake though. It goes for Sandstorm. That's the worst case scenario. Okay, we do get a Reflect up though, which is nice. Because we're Scarf, so I can't Ice Beam. We just have to we have to just hope here. A full restore. No. And we miss. Wait. We didn't miss on Flygon. Okay, cool. And then Moonblast should kill Goodra. That's rock. Oh my god. No, Dulce. Okay, we Moonblast. Goodra's dead. Okay, the fight's going pretty well, I'd say. I mean, I think we Coconut Head. This Duraludon has an Assault Vest, which is pretty bad. But I do have a Reflect up. I can Moonblast Dracovish. Dynamax Max Knuckle Duraludon. Hopefully Dracovish doesn't Protect. I totally expect Whitney to die here, though. Regardless, but... Goes for Coconut Head. That's so weird. Oh, it's not good. Okay, there... Clefable's just automatically dead. Doesn't even matter that we have a Reflect up. It does get a defense boost though. But we got an attack boost. Drawdown's dead. Cool. Oh, that almost killed. Oh, that was a crit. And now Ozzy just play erupts and I think we're fine. Should kill, right? That didn't kill? That didn't kill? Oh, because it raises both their defenses. Okay, now we just play rough and protect. Easy. We did lose Whitney, but that's not really a big deal. I think Dulce was like more important just because Scarf, Snow Warning, Blizzard is just so good. But there's no more doubles, so it's like not really a big deal. Not too bad, and that is our last badge. With Hop getting his dragon badge as well, we both head on to Winden, but first we gotta stop at our final route, Route 10. What is our Route 10 encounter going to be? It is Mr. Mime. Okay. I think Mr. Rhyme is actually pretty decent with the choice specs. You guys were so good. So awesome. I'll just eat you. There's no reason you should go to waste in the box. I think you just surf from here, right? Wait, how do you get into the... Okay. The reason I'm here is because of... Oh my lord! My Logic is huge! I did not think it was that huge. Most trainers on Route 10 are avoidable, and even the ones you do have to fight aren't bad at all, except one. This double battle at the end of the route. Now I thought I could just bring Beast Boy and Aerosmith to both Earthquake and all would be well, but I was wrong, as these two being on the field at the same time is deadly. Noivern will KO Flygon with a Draco Meteor, and I have to focus Magnezone because if not, Aerosmith dies. And it's hard to just switch Flygon out and Earthquake with Aerodactyl, as that Magnezone has Sturdy and will still kill Aerosmith. Something is dying right now. The one thing I came up with was going into Azu on Flygon slot as it's immune to Draco and going to Scorpion to tank a hit. But this Magnezone went straight for a Steel Beam on Flygon instead of Arrow. Weird. For me, I protect on Azu against the Hurricane, and luckily Scorpion has Ice Fang, which does in fact one-shot. And even more lucky, Magnezone also targets Azu that turn, meaning we were back in this. Now AI is really weird. You'd think they'd both target Azu again with Electric-type moves, but I don't know, man. AI has been really weird this whole run, so I made a bold move into Arrow and Flygon again, and thankfully we have a protect from Manectric, and I overlooked Manectric having Lightning Rod as its ability, so in the end we were fine regardless. All that's left was Earthquake, everything in sight. That little fork in the road wasn't gonna stop me, and finally we were in Winden. Now Winden has a bunch of useful items in the mart, and I will use the max mushrooms and ability items since I do like to use things I don't normally get to use. However, the bottle caps seem a little bit excessive, so I'm saying no to those. With that, we register for the semi-finals, and Marnie is our first contender. She leads this prankster Toxic Orb tricking cat. I lead Crustle with no name, so there's really no emotional bond here, and she serves to stealth rocks as well as get that Toxic Orb from Trick, which actually doesn't matter since I'm using Toxicroak to sweep anyways. But either way, from here I hard switch into Miles on a Torment, which is fine, and now we just Sticky Web and tank a Foul Play. We Volt Switch after that and take another Foul Play. And I did forget to put Lagging Tail on Galvantula to Volt Switch late for no damage, but it is what it is. I also have a Lumberry and Brock here because Liepard has Thunder Wave plus Prankster. Anyways, one Max Knuckle KOs the cat, and Marnie does have a Mandibuzz, which would be horrible to come out right now, since it's super tanky. However, I figured she wouldn't, since Morpeko has Psychic Fangs. And I figured correctly. Sticky Webs lets us outspeed everything on her team aside from Mandibuzz since it isn't affected by it, but it's a bulky set and not a speedy one, so we naturally outspeed that one. And I think we're outspeeding Morpeko by like 3 points here. Max Knuckle keeps boosting my attack, and after Absol is out. Now here we don't want to Max Knuckle more. We want to Max Guard to stall out the D-Max, because we need to be full health for Mandibuzz, and I'll explain in a second. So we Drain Punch Absol to get all of our health back, and Scrafty is in. Scrafty has choice specs, and it does in fact outspeed, so we tank a hit and Drain Punch once more. With Mandibuzz finally in, it takes Stealth Rocks damage, and we can do two things. I do have Ice Punch, but it doesn't KO it in one shot even after Rocks, and a Foul Play will do max 80% to us if it doesn't crit. Or I can Drain Punch for the 7% health points, just in case. And that's what I do. But Mandibuzz just straight up roosts anyways. From here we Ice Punch after she protects, and we do in fact live a Foul Play. She doesn't protect again thankfully, as she has lefties and an Ice Punch KOs. All that's left is her Grimmsnarl. Now I did kind of make an oopsies, as Grimmsnarl doesn't quite die here, or rather it has a 60% chance to thanks to Rocks. But I'm just gonna risk Brock for the entertainment, and that's because this thing is very tanky. Lucky. Come on, Brock. We believe in you. Hell yeah, man. I love when a plan works out perfectly. Hop is next, but we first have a very special encounter who evolved at the level 60 cap, Nanny. And the reason she's so special is she literally destroys Hop, and there's nothing he can do about it because Double is back with only double edge and body press as damaging moves. So any ghost type just hammers him. And per my rule set, I can use Dragon Dance. I've never used Dragapult, but man, is this an amazing debut. Finally, a battle that I can just sit back and relax. Just look how good of a time I'm having. One by one, just smirking away. Rillaboom did have an item that boosts its defense in grassy terrain, but then I saw I had the move U-turn on Nanny, totally on accident, so that one shot as well. Next! I also love how mad Hop is at the reporters here because you can just tell it's getting to him that he lost to us. Of course, from here we deal with Team Nothing business because there is no evil team in this game. But yeah, the tower scared me since you gotta fight back to back, and rightfully so. Aerosmith took a steel beam to the dome and died. I was not happy. And in the midst of thinking I wrapped up the battle, I started spamming A, and I didn't realize Gourgeist used Destiny Bond. Screw this game. Either than those two losses, we reached Olina safely. But safety isn't what she was experiencing when I met up with her, because Beast Boy straight up put her in a coma. Enough said. And if I had wrote the story, I would have commanded my Flygon to take this man and drop him off Rose Tower. No remorse. Now I set the level cap here to 65, but I am underleveled as all three gym leaders aces are level 65. So I'm not trying to overlevel. And luckily for Beat, I only need the Iron Mouse and Corviknight because Rapidash has a choice band, so that locks him into high horsepower, and it's a free sweep with Hone Claws plus Dynamax Drill Peck for speed boosts. Although it was risky to be faster than Gardevoir, as I would need to be +3, so instead what I did is just put a Walken Berry for Thunderbolt, and thankfully we didn't get paralyzed. With rocks on the field, we break Mr. Mime's Sash to kill in one shot, and that was the battle. Nessa is our first gym leader, and this fight is hard for a combination of reasons. Pelipper is her lead with Drizzle, things have Swift Swim, Scarfs, Choice Bands, and of course the Rain boosts water type moves. And I was having trouble coming up with a strat. Heliolisk was my starting point due to Dry Skin and 100% Thunder in the rain, and it gets Grass Knot for Lantern. Only problem is that Swift Swimmers are way too fast, and Heliolisk is, well, very fragile. I was ripping my hair out looking at this team, until I noticed something very interesting. See, Nessa's team's movesets are very one-dimensional. Ice and water type moves, aside from Barraskewda, who has close combat, which is obviously super effective to Heliolisk. Why is this important, you may ask? Well, because this same Pokemon is holding a choice item, so it'll lock her into close combat. So all we have to do is KO Pelipper. I didn't evolve because getting a Sunstone is a little annoying, and this will force in Barraskewda, where we just switch in Nanny to set up with 0 risk, and that's it, we win. This Cramorant does have a Sash, but our signature move is a multi-hit move. And Dynamaxed, we one-shot her Dreadnought. One of the hardest fights in this mod became one of the easiest, just like that. It's funny because prior to this, I was complaining about Heliolisk's typing, but not anymore. So Alistair leads a Runerigus, and any flying type with setup will just get you the win. And this is because all this thing can do is Earthquake, because the ghost type move it has is Poltergeist, which only works if we have a held item. So all we do is just put no held item on Chirp, Dynamax immediately, and I retaught him Peck, and this is because I need to be +3 speed to outspeed Choice Scarf Chandelure. And Peck, being the weak move it is, gives us a weaker max move, allowing us to not actually KO Runerigus since it's super tanky, meaning we can get all 3 of our speed boosts. From there, we just Hone Claws and Power Trip mostly everything, or so I thought. See, we can KO Chandelure, no problem, but Cursula comes in after, and I overlook something pretty important. Its hidden ability, Perish Body, which as the name implies, will act as Perish Song if we make direct contact, and all of our moves do that. So now we can only knock out that and Mimikyu because of Disguise. For Poltergeist, I went into Reaper, who gets poisoned on entry from Runerigus' Toxic Spikes, and just wait out the Shell Smashes, which by the way, this thing had a White Herb to negate all of those defense drops, but one Sucker Punch eventually KOs it in one shot. All that's left is Gengar, and this is perfect as having Reaper on the field meant it will use Max Ooze, and I happen to have Night with me, so not only do we come in for free, but we have Protect. And unfortunately, I just had to double Protect, but it fails, and Knight is a true Knight, and sacrifices himself for the good of the team. I'm sorry, pal. It was my mistake. Thankfully, this Gengar only has attacking moves, so one Sucker Punch later, and Reaper brings it home. What a save, if I do say so myself. Piers, with that posture, you're never gonna get anybody. Stand up straight, man. You're looking like me when I edit these videos. Raihan was a little bit more of the same, as Angry Feet here has the Ice Face ability, so we get a free sub, meaning a free Ice Punch, and when our Ice Face breaks, we're so much faster than Dragonite at a whopping 130 base speed, so we outspeed KOing. And having an Ice type on the field baits in Dracozolt. Okay, never mind, it baits in Goodra, because Goodra also has a Fire type move. But no worries, as if we D-max Hailstorm, we can knock out Goodra, and then Dracozolt comes in. From here, I swap in Nanny, who takes a Fire Fang, and now we just Dragon Dance one time, and I do have a Lumberry in case of burn. Dracozolt, Flygon, even though it has a Sash thanks to Dragon Darts, and Drago Fish all go down, no problem. Now we can't one-shot Duraludon, so we just U-turn on a potential max depletion or darkness into Angle. And it was in fact depletion, which is perfect. From there, we protect, and then I make a bold move into Beast Boy. Bold because, yes, it could use Max Lightning, but also Max Steel Spike, and a crit would kill, but it was Max Lightning, so with that, I pivot into Azu on a Draco Meteor. And thinking I can live Warm Thunder, I go for Play Rough, but Azu just doesn't make it. And I'm pretty sure Electric Terrain is still up, isn't it? Of course it is. Well, I don't think I need Angry Feet. Okay, why didn't I get a substitute from that? At least he took recoil damage. Bring it home, Beast Boy. Oh, do we not outspeed this thing? That's literally by 5 points. Come on. Oh, I'm sorry, Beast Boy. You did so much. Well, Nanny, you're the only one that outspeeds. That crit might have mattered, not gonna lie. I do not like you, Raihan. I liked when we only had 3 deaths. Chairman Rose falls to the same strat Nessa does, as he leads a Choice Banded Berserker with Close Combat. The only downside is Close Combat only has 5 PP, and it will eventually struggle, which is bad because if it does crit, it could KO Nanny, and I need to be +6 due to Magnezone having Sturdy, and Dragon Darts only KOs at +6. Regardless, we were fine, and everything went according to plan. And this Magnezone dying relied on Nanny holding a Dragon Fang as well. If not, it wouldn't have worked. But yeah, not much else to say here. And if you guessed we'd deal with Leon the same way, you'd be correct. Leon leads an Inteleon with a Choice Scarf, and the only Pokemon I have to bait a Shadow Ball is Bronze. You would Hydro Pump. Well, my plan was to bait Shadow Ball, set up rocks at the same time with Focus Sash, and then go into Porygon Z to set up, but clearly, that's not what happened. So now Band-Aid has to take care of this mess. From there, Blastoise destroys Band-Aid, who's gonna seriously need a Band-Aid for that Blizzard, and I literally have to D-max Porygon Z because I have no idea what I can do with this dog team I brought with me. The good news is we live Outrage and Max Darkness from Dragapult, which leads us to Max Strike, his Venusaur. AG-Slash does Flash Cannon us to death, as I mistakenly popped its weakness policy, and unfortunately I can't just go into Nanny, since we have Phantom Force and he'll probably just King Shield. I do try to play mind games with Protect, and eventually we Scald away, but then he has full restores. The good news is on that full restore, Drag gets a burn. Bad news is he has 2 of those things, and Drag goes down. Now, I've pretty much gotten to defeat at this point. I mean, he's going to King Shield on my Phantom Oh, okay, bro. Thanks. Now, one of the greatest things is, if you remember, I got up rocks at the start of this fight, and Leon's ace happens to be Charizard, a Pokemon that's 4 times affected to rocks. So that entry damage is massive. The only problem is I don't think Dragon Darts KOs from here, and I don't know if Leon has 3 full restores or just 2, and if it doesn't KO, I don't know if Leviathan can bring it home. Oh, come on, Nanny. Well, I guess. Wait, it took recoil damage? Oh, it has a life orb! That is so beyond lucky. I won. I cannot believe I won that. I gotta start having plan Bs, damn it. Why would you not Shadow Ball Bronzong? Literally, you Shadow Ball Bronzong, and that's it. That's the fight. Ah, man, thanks for throwing the fight. I won't tell anybody if you won't.